From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Don Mitchell. A U.S. military expert is suggesting the war in the Middle East got more complicated this weekend, with Iran-backed Houthis getting involved for the first time. The group claiming responsibility for firing a ballistic missile at Israel. Former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for the Middle East, Mick Mulroy, says the Houthis' involvement could create a conflict on another front, potentially the targeting of commercial vessels off the Red Sea.
The Houthis becoming involved is a troubling matter, I would say, because they have the capacity to essentially close another maritime checkpoint, the Bab el-Mandeb. They have the Overwatch up in the mountains that has direct line of sight and have proven they have not only the willingness, but the capability of striking ships that might be transiting the Red Sea and going through that international passageway.
Closer to home, 5 NDP leadership candidates made pitches to party members today in Winnipeg at a rally ahead of selecting a new leader tomorrow. Union leader Rob Ashton spoke about how he would get Canadian youth back to voting booths.
We have to give them a seat at the table. We have to bring them along and listen to them and listen to what they want us to fight for. And if that includes a home that they can live on in co-op style builds, free tuition for when you go to school, and a good union job so that maybe one day if you're hungry you might be able to buy a steak and have something to eat.
The party's roughly 100,000 members will pick a new leader through a ranked ballot system. China is denying claims of forced labor in the country as calls grow for Prime Minister Mark Carney to clarify Canada's stance on the issue. All this tied to fallout earlier this week when Liberal MP Michael Maw cast doubt on reported human rights abuses. Senior fellow at the University of Ottawa, Margaret McQuaig Johnson, told a committee that human rights research says Chinese vehicles are made with products of slave labor performed by members of the Uyghur minority. The world's largest food and beverage company says thieves stole a huge shipment of candy bars in Europe this week.
Nestle says some 12 tons of Kit Kat bars, that's 413,793 Kit Kat bars, were stolen after leaving the production site in Italy, headed for Poland. The theft happened several days ago. The Swiss-based food giant says the vehicle and its load are still nowhere to be found. The company says the missing candy bars could enter unofficial sales channels across European markets. But if that happens, the bars can be traced using the batch code assigned to individual bars. I'm Donna Warder.
And Bruce Springsteen was the headliner at a No Kings event in St. Paul, Minnesota today.
The power and the solidarity of the people of Minneapolis and of Minnesota was an inspiration to the entire country. Your strength and your commitment told us that this is still America.
Organizers say more than 3,100 events were registered in all 50 states and several other countries, with more than 9 million people participating. This is the Canadian Press. In sports, Piper Gillies and Paul Poirier are silver medalists once again at the World Figure Skating Championships. The Canadian ice dancers reached the podium's second step for a third consecutive season today. After a Wuthering Heights routine, Olympic champions Laurence Fournier-Baudry, a Montreal native now representing France, and Guillaume Cizeron comfortably captured gold. Elsewhere, Jonathan David scored twice from the penalty spot in the second half as Canada battled back from a 2-0 deficit to salvage a 2-2 draw with Iceland in an international men's soccer friendly today. In the NHL, the Ottawa Senators saw their NHL playoff chances take a hit with a 4-2 loss to the Tampa Bay Lightning in Florida. The loss keeps the Senators a point out of the Eastern Conference second wildcard spot. And Catherine Dubois scored twice as the Montreal Victoire defeated the New York Sirens 3-1 in the Professional Women's Hockey League. The win in Detroit moved the Victoire a point behind Boston for first place in the league standings. From the Canadian Press, I'm Don Mitchell.